Hello, loves. I'm lost. Oh, never mind. There's the trail. Good to see you again. I hope you have had a wonderful week, a wonderful month, dare I say, a wonderful year. We are back in the Wisconsin woods, should I say the Milwaukee Public Park system, to look for more mushrooms, but as you can see, it is still too early in the season to find anything of value. Besides friendship, besides camaraderie, besides, dare I say, a wonderful walk. It is still early, I suppose. It's not even May yet. We are still Apriling our way through the year. But it does feel like the mushrooms should be here already. I guess I'm just impatient to potentially poison myself. I probably should be spending this time devoting myself to figuring out which mushrooms are edible in my area. I was trying to decide if I should go off the beaten path here or stick to the trail. You always got to choose your departure point wisely. You know what I mean? The Wisconsin parks, as far as I understand, are open to free roaming. But here are some signs that say private property, no trespassing. What does that mean? Is this not a public trail? Is it talking about the woods to my right? Is that the private property? I believe I'm still on public lands. Ugh. People in their private property, man, it's so stupid. It's so distressing. It's like, how are you going to have a trail connected to a public park and have there be private property signs? If you want a private property, maybe don't patch up next to a public park. You know what I mean? But unless I see more obvious signs of privateness, maybe not. Maybe we'll go back. This isn't what I wanted to put out there. As far as our second appearance together, I might have to cut it in some place if I do get into a part of the woods that is tricky to transverse. This almost looks like a gathering spot over here. You see that? Isn't that cool? I've only had good experiences going off trail in the Wisconsin public park system. And knock on wood, I'll only have good experiences going forward. This park I have been to before. Again, I was not lucky enough to find any mushrooms at the time. I might have even come through this way. This seems vaguely familiar. But it is nice. It is so tranquil. It is so peaceful out here. This again seems like a shoreline where there might be mushrooms in the near future. Morels. Morels are still what we are going for. I can almost taste them, you know. If you haven't seen one, they look somewhat disgusting, spongy, with a kind of lattice structure on the outside. And there is a close relative of theirs they call false morels, which are apparently poisonous, so I will be double checking when I find any of those. But how dangerous could it really be? To just eat the things you find in the woods. Is this private property? I can't tell. There's definitely remnants of human habitation here. I hate these thorny purple plants here. They really mess you up. the brambles. Ugh. Sorry for not being able to entertain you with my ramblings as I try and pass through here, but hopefully we'll get you some nice views at least. Maybe we do get lucky with some mushrooms here today. By loves, who knows? It does feel like they're out here. Or maybe that's just the feeling of being watched by the spirits of the wood. Have I said anything of substance this whole time? Have I said anything of substance my entire life? Who knows? Some deer tracks, that's cool. But I don't know if this is a good way forward or not. What do you think? I could go under and try and go over. Very hesitant the first few times I went off trail in a public park because it did seem like a disturbance. But it is legal from what I understand. I would be filming myself doing illegal activities now, would I? Would I? I don't know. Not exactly. Not exactly in a position where I have to worry about that yet. Mushrooms, mushrooms, where are you? About being seen, I mean. I love the bird song. It's so gray, it's so drab out here. I'll have to figure out maybe better ways of getting my trips on the record than having just this handheld camera, because it can be quite tricky to navigate through some of the brush. But I hope to, man, that would be a dream, to get to go to other national parks. I am trying to reach out to various people I can interview for the Party podcast, and depending on the price of flights, depending on deals I might be able to snag, maybe I will get to go to different parts of the United States and film myself trespassing in those areas too. Wouldn't that be fun? I'd love to go to North Carolina. Ohio is drivable distance. I could go to Ohio, and there are some mounds there I would like to quote unquote investigate in my incredibly amateurish way. Maybe that will be a destination. Would you like to go to Ohio with me? I'll have to look up mushroom spots. Maybe there's a place within driving distance. You know, the United States is big. I am closer to the East Coast than it might appear, than you might think. Wonder how long this... That's a rug, right? There's like a rug there. Wonder how long that's been there for. This is a pseudo trail, obviously. Either game or people. I've yet to come across any fellow trespassers in the woods. That's one nice part about being Catholic. When I was a Methodist, or a Presbyterian rather, we would say in the Lord's Prayer, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. But the Catholics seem to prefer trespassing. So, worst comes to worst, I pray the Lord will forgive me my trespasses, so I forgive those who trespass against me. It does seem to be a pretty big difference, doesn't it? The difference between trespassing and being in debt. I much prefer the idea of trespassing. I don't want to think that debt is of real concern to the Lord, you know? Wouldn't that be discouraging if we got to heaven and God was like, oh, sorry, you have negative bank account balance. We have to send you back. As a Christian, I don't know if it's kosher to believe in reincarnation. As a Catholic, I'm sure it's not. This is a swampy little area here. There should be some mushrooms in the general vicinity. Not now, then in a few months. If I do find mushrooms, I will tell you where they're at. I'm not into keeping my spots secret. Is one of my complaints about the current foraging communities is that everyone is so tight-lipped about where to find good mushrooms. It's like, come on, man. Share the wealth. Ooh, what's this? I have seen a lot of old equipment abandoned in places. The parks, that is prime example. Wonder how old it is, huh? Wonder how long it's been here. It's not that exotic. There's like a farm or something right over there where it looks like at least at one point that was cultivated land. Sure, it just belonged to somebody who lived nearby. This might even be part of the public trail I'm back to. Curses, we'll have to find out another place to get back into the forbidden parts of the wood. You can hear the traffic probably, not too far away, pretty close to the highway. But it feels so remote. You know, if you just close your eyes for a second, it sounds like that could almost be the river rather than a river of cars. Obviously, I have you with me, so I'm not exactly trying to abandon technology for nature entirely. You know what? Why not? Normally, I wouldn't do this. It's only because I want to show you a good time. And I'm risking myself over the river. You can call it that. But again, there are all these pseudo trails. You know, you can see where somebody or something has broken through here before. Trees are such remarkable beasts, you know? And they have whole communities, they almost have jobs. The oaks that serve as the primary growing bed for the hen of the woods mushroom that I have found before. Those grow under oak trees, and the oaks are almost vanguards. It's almost like the forests are at war with the prairie, you know? And the oaks are typically the ones, as far as I understand, to pave the way into a new area. That before the other trees, which are more prone to fire damage in particular, more prone to being ripped out, torn to shreds by various rodents and other careless mammals that occupy the grasslands. You know, some species of trees, these tender saplings, especially when they're young, just can't put up with the ravages of a wide open prairie. But the oaks, oh, the oaks. They can not only withstand those creatures, but also the fires. They thrive on the fires. They grow faster because of the fires. Speaking somewhat poetically because I lack the actual education to know what I'm talking about, but you hear what I'm saying, right? You get the gist. So that's the oak's job, is to grow to new areas, to spread foliage and create an environment. Just gotta make sure I don't lose my microphone. My expensive amateur equipment. We'll recollect ourselves here. All that hustling, and there's the trail again right there. It's like, what's the point? Point is, we're looking for mushrooms. And although I have seen some growing near a trail, one even growing on a trail, I haven't convinced myself that sticking to the paths is the way to go. We'll go down to Illinois for sure. There's some beautiful parks down there. Some wonderful parks. Expensive parks. Parks they charge you a fee just to park in. Can you believe that? So maybe we'll park nearby and just hike in. What are they gonna do then? Charge us a hiking fee? Probably would if they could. Hey. I don't want to harass people who are just here to enjoy the quiet. I don't know. Putting strangers on film is hard. I'm trying to do more interviews. I'm trying to get opinions and perspectives from people, but it just feels like I'm bothering them. It's been a couple of times where I've tried to psych myself up for filming and interacting with strangers in public, and I've just like pansied out both times, so who knows, who cares? Things are happening. Again, these walks are brought to you by our dear friends at the Party. Please do check out our attempt to get an AGI elected president in the year 2028. Hopefully the AGI won't be as shy about advertising itself as I am. You know? So many down trees. I don't remember the leaves being this thick. There's so many more leaves than I remember. I remembered seeing much more of the ground before. Where do all the leaves go? Did they disappear at some point? Somebody come through with a broom? The fires is what really needs to take care of them. There's some mushrooms. I need to figure out what those are called. I see so many of them. They look like little oyster shells, you know? So hard and brittle this time of year. What was the name of the mushroom that grows high up on the trees? I can't remember. But there is one that does. This is a beautiful park filled with beautiful messes. They provide nice little boards here so you don't have to walk in the mud. Isn't that nice? Get your shoes all dirty. Some more mushrooms. So close to the path. Makes me feel like an idiot for walking off of it so frequently, but what's the fun in just sticking to the path, you know? What's the fun in that? I might start offering strangers tarot card readings again. That was a fun time last year. I learned a lot. Not all good things, but enough. Stay hopeful. These trying times. More mushrooms over there to the right. I don't know if you can see those or not. It's so funny having the little camera gimbal. Feels like a little robot. Robot technology is happening so fast. It's coming so quickly. Soon I might have a robot camera operator. We can both chug along here in the woods. You know, it's important to put hard and fast predictions to any kind of fortune telling, tarot card, or futurism or otherwise. And between you and me, I definitely think there's going to be robots walking, talking, maybe even smoking. Who knows if we offload all our work onto them? I hope they get to smoke. Within 2 years, 3 years, at most, I'd bet. Even here in a smaller city like Milwaukee. It's not small, it's large. Not as big as Chicago or New York, certainly, but large enough. Large enough to have stuff going on. I want to travel to smaller cities as well. Try and get people's opinions there on robots, on artificial intelligence. I spend so much time thinking about it and planning around it and psyching myself up for it. Our automated future that it's easy to forget or ignore. Most people don't know or care about robots. Here's another person, so I'm going to try and be quiet for a minute. Can you still hear me? Got caught. There's a dog. I hate dogs off leash. It's like you're supposed to have your dog on a leash, bro. What are you doing? That's a dog. Hey, pup. How are you? Hi. Hey, how's it going? It smells good. Yeah.
Don't tell anyone where this is.
For sure.
Huh?
I said for sure.
There's enough people.
You're good. It's public property. God bless people, you know. There are just times when you don't want to be around particular ones. It's a folk park, by the way, in Milwaukee. Come here, check it out. It's beautiful, as you've been able to tell. It's not that I don't like people. I love people. It's just that, can they not read body language? Can they not understand propriety? Manners, politeness? Seems like they can when they want to. Sometimes they just don't want to. God bless them. So calm and peaceful. So prickly and thorny. It's a weird time in the world. That's what I was saying. There's so many people who are into all the AI and robot stuff. And for us, it feels like there's a tsunami coming. And 90% of the world is not recognizing. Say 20% of the people who are into it think it spells disaster in some way for us, whether that's through loss of jobs or continued dehumanization of society or some other potential catastrophe. And that's a lot of people, you know, 20% of all the people who are super into AI believing that it's going to be bad for humanity. And yet there aren't any coordinated efforts yet to really stop progress. There are people who are concerned about it, AI safetyists or whatever, but I wouldn't say they're terribly effective. I don't want them to be terribly effective. I think that's almost the biggest danger there is a select group of people trying to control how things go down. I guess that's what we're all doing in some way, in our own way. I'm just very lazy about mine. Then there's maybe another 30% of people who just don't think it's going to be that big a deal. I think that log will collapse if I go on it. %30 of the 10% who know or care about AI. 30% of those people just think it's going to be another technology like the Industrial Revolution was just a bunch of technologies. Look at this flower. Isn't that crazy looking? I wish I was here when it bloomed. Can't really smell it, but I bet it smells wild. %30 of people who think 30% of the 10%. What is that? I wish I had an AI here to do math for me. So 3% of people worldwide who think AI is just going to leave us in a slightly better position than we've been before. Maybe better than average capabilities, better than average opportunities than we've had up to now. That leaves the remaining 50%, I'd say, who are in the other camp and thinking, oh wow, this is going to change, if not everything, basically everything. So 7% maybe of the worldwide population who thinks AI is going to have a completely transformative effect. And I'm probably even overestimating that, you know? It's probably not nearly that many people who think it's going to be that transformative. But I live in a bubble. You can see part of it here. This is much more rambly, but it's harder to be coherent, provide some kind of narrative when the sun isn't out. Oh, the world is so gray. It's one of the transformations I hope AI makes. Color vision, ability to change. Acorns, I feel like that's a good sign for oaks, right? Is this an oak tree? I don't even know what oak trees look like without the leaves. How do you tell without the leaves? Is this an oak tree? Got some holes in it. Do oak trees have holes in them? But imagine whether it's a contact lens or some kind of shot you take. Changes your vision so the world seems brighter. Is that dystopian? I'm asking myself that more and more. The other day I was reading about headless clones the billionaires are making of themselves so they can harvest those bodies for organs. Which, if you think about it, is a much smarter idea than The Island. Remember that movie? Where those two movie stars had clones of themselves running around an island secretly. Great movie. But they had heads. Can't remember if they addressed that or not, whether they tried to make headless versions. I feel like they must have, right? Like, in hindsight, it's so obvious. Obviously, you make the clones without the heads. The heads are what cause you all the problems. It's a nice stick. If my hands were about twice as big, this would be a great stick. Great walking stick. I do have to give this one up soon. Oh, it's so nice. But if we make it to episode 5, I decided I'm going to give it up. So we have to hunt for new ones. Here's potentially a new one. New ones are everywhere, that's the thing. It's not really giving it up. It's more like making a trade-in. The tariff wars, is it even worth talking about the freaking tariff wars? It's better than being in a real war. I thank God we're not yet in a real war. I pray to God to not send us into real war. Feels like that's the way things are going, though. It's felt like that's the way we've been going since the pandemic. Why is it that real wars are always so close to pandemics? I think this is worm writing, some kind of insect engraving. On the tree there. Beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. This camera I'm using is from China. I hurried and bought it. Maybe it would have been smarter to save for a cloudy, rainy day that's coming up, or for AI enhanced color vision contact lenses that are coming out in the future, but I was worried about the tariffs, so I went and splurged. Now I'm looking around my house, I'm like, oh, I should buy a fridge. For the tariffs raise prices on those too. I hope we don't go to war. And I hope billionaires don't make a bunch of headless clones of themselves and the rest of us. It just sounds like such a bad idea, doesn't it? I think we're not only close to that and much more grandiose technologies, but we're even close to things like digital, maybe even physical resurrection. That's where I personally follow all the religious chatter too, is that, as far as I can tell, every miracle in the Bible, every crazy event detailed in any religious manuscript, they've all just been miracles of science that we haven't understood. We haven't had the technology to understand. But I think with AI, we're basically looking at the birth of, I've been calling them egregores, you know, amalgamations of human capability, knowledge, potential. These AIs, these egregore intelligences. I think that's the cleanest description of them. But they're going to have the powers and potentials of deities, of straight gods. God-like, not worthy of worship, but Lord help us. The one true God help us. Maybe they do demand our worship at some point. Maybe they do demand we make headless clones of ourselves. I'm not so much worried about living in the future, you know, I'm more worried about not being allowed to die in the future. How awful does that sound? Yeah, every human being is entitled to an inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but are you entitled, do you have a right to die? God, help us if we don't. Reincarnation, though. I suppose that boils down to the same thing. I suppose it boils down to you not having a right to die. Just have to come back. A right to try again. Maybe that's the best we get. Try again towards what? Becomes the question, right? What is everything building towards? Besides war, tariffs or otherwise. Personally, I hope everything is building towards unification. I hope that we exist in a universe where things are gradually becoming more and more together, more and more unified. not as some kind of Borg-like blob. Wouldn't that be gross? But more like a society. More like an outgrowth of the things that humans do naturally and voluntarily. That we don't just have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but the right to more life, more liberty, more happiness, more pursuits of happiness at least. You'd hope more payoffs too of happiness. I hope that guy was happy. His dog seemed happy. Friendly dog. It just bothers me when they're off leash. You're not supposed to have them off leash. Such a petty thing to think. When the dog was nice, but you can't always tell if it's a nice dog. I was walking along one of the beaches at a park here in Milwaukee last year. And I guess you could say I stepped too close to a dog off leash. I think it actually, it was off leash. Got within maybe 3-4 feet. This dog, and it lunged at me and bit a hole in my pants. Can you imagine? If it had taken out one of my... I'd be limping along here, begging for an AI-enhanced surgery, you know? But whether through divine or mundane providence, I managed to escape. I'm sure you're happy to hear. Intact. Or at least as intact as my Jewish confirmed birth left me. Some mushrooms over there. We'll just go say hi. They're not edible. I think it's just more of those shelf type ones, but if they catch your eye, you gotta go say hi, right? You don't want to be rude to the mushrooms. Can you imagine? Imagine if the mushrooms say you're rude. You'll never find another one again. Hello. See them? They're very nice. They're very nice mushrooms. More acorns. So this has to be an oak. Wow, it's beautiful. See how it branches up like that? It splits. It covers so much area. Ugh. To be an oak tree. There's a bird's nest there. Can you see that? Hello, birdie. Hello. Not a peeping Tom. I'm a peeping Corey, if anything. Peeping Casey. A fool. Fool strike. Names are interesting. Tarot is interesting. Life is interesting. Being alone is maybe the most interesting at all. I'm just trying to value it because it feels like maybe none of us will be alone soon. Not just AI, but each other. You know, as I'm recording this, as you're watching this, are we really alone? A part of me is there with you. Whether you like it or not. Part of you is here with me. I'll have to do some hikes at night. See if we can get some ghostly footage. In Milwaukee, there's a couple of places where the spirits apparently haunt the night. You could go check those out. There's some abandoned road where apparently there's like gnomes or little trolls or something. The story was purposely vague. And there was another area close by. The oak trees just look tortured, you know? Just imagine someone living under it. More swamp. I feel like I found some mushrooms over here last year. Don't tell people where it's at. We want to keep it for ourselves. It's as bad as the private property signs. It's like it's a public area. You don't want people out in nature. You want it for yourself, and then you see a stranger and you come up and bother them. It's like, pick a lane, dude. I'm going to say goodbye as we approach back to the car. There's some muddy terrain up here, and I don't want to risk the camera, as you can see. But it's been lovely taking a walk with you. At some point on these walks, we will find mushrooms, so tune in, drop out, just vote. Whatever you do, vote.